triple down on the work that we need to do within this university and escaping the fucking rat life. Severity has never been higher. There's never been a greater demand for freedom for Tarek Haux, your professor, forever and for all time. Do you understand? If you saw how ghetto this tripod is right now, this is fucking ridiculous. It's on top of protein pancakes and then a box on top. That is the makeshift of what we're doing. So here we go. You know, these videos are actually very underwhelming after doing the meditations, after doing an almost 3-hour lecture. You're gonna have to ignore the bags that are my eyes as we get into law number 9, 10. 9? We're on 9. I did 9 and 10. So I'm getting more and more prepared as we go. And I don't know if you noticed the music that played in the last lecture. I was very excited about that. I don't know if it's good though. I need some feedback. I need an active, real-time iteration loop. So if you like the music from last one, I mean, I'm gonna put music on this before you have a chance to let me know. But let me know this one if you like the background music. Does it add to the ambiance? Do you feel more engaged and excited to learn about the laws of power by Robert Greene? But this is what we're doing today. So look, I did all the notes for law number 9. And then I did all the notes because I read it this morning. If you see these bags under my eyes, dude, it's because I've been up since 2:37 a.m. And this one, number 10, on this page. I don't think it's gonna focus, but as you can see, we're over-prepared. So we need to slow down, we need to take a deep breath, calm down, relax, have the light go, shining like an angel. And law number 9. This is exciting. You ready? If you haven't seen meditations, I put 3 hours into that lecture. And that was just into the lecture portion. That wasn't the reading of it, that wasn't the notes of it, the transcription of it, that wasn't the video editing, that wasn't bringing it into life, let alone the lecture itself. So we want to go ahead and give that an audio listen the next time you do a 3-hour cardio session. Maybe it'll be nice for you. Here we go. Law number 9. To recap, number 8 was make other people come to you, use bait if necessary. Now we're on 9. I know it's been a minute, we're catching back up. Here we go. Number 9 is win through your actions, never through your argument. I'm gonna say that again. Win through your actions, never through your argument. We learned this in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You don't win anything by winning an argument. If you say, who won the argument? It's, we both lost. Because you may be right, but now you're sleeping on the couch. I know men like that. I literally have a coworker who did that it was last week that I had to go in and coach him. Like, Mark, he's not gonna watch this. Mark, what the fuck you doing, huh? And then I literally had to coach him. I may have saved his 20+ year marriage by my advices and my counsel. You understand? And it was because he thought you could win through argument. And it's like, no. there's a scene in South Park. It's like, no, what are you, fucking stupid? If you win in an argument, you lose. You understand? And then if you ask who's winning in the marriage, stupid question. Because if the team isn't winning, no one's winning. It was that exact same sentiment. When you win an argument, you may be right, but you look like a dickhead. You may feel like, and think back to your younger self if you don't do this anymore. But think about that, the person who they needed to win, they needed to, show off, they needed to one up the other person. You hate that guy in the group. The one that some person says something funny and then this person feels like, oh, I remember this one time where I did, and they try to, and by undermining that person, you take the wind out of their sails, you look like a prick, and then nobody likes you. Even if your joke is funnier, even if you're more original, even if it was your idea, garbage, nobody likes that fucking rat weasel, don't be that guy. It's the same thing in argumentation, right? So if you're in an altercation, a confrontation, what have you with someone, right? The best way to implore your victory is through indirection, getting them to see their folly indirectly, because it allows them to what? Save face. We learned that in How to Win Friends and Influence People. The most important thing in argumentation is you're dealing with people's insecurities. You're dealing with their egos. You're dealing with pride. You're dealing with them, how they feel amidst their peers, right? Are they the fun one in the group? Do they feel self-conscious about their intellect or lack thereof, right? And so you're making them feel insecure, especially if they're your superior. And I put that in air quotes because I have a lot of superiors who aren't superior to me in any fucking category in this life, except by a bullshit made up title. But that's not me venting about today's work output, not by any fucking means. But I am taking a sick day tomorrow so I thought about it today from what we read in Meditations, not to cross-pollinate, mind you. But there was a line in it that said, adaptation says, it's a judgment sees you for what you really are. Life circumstances. That's what judgment says, based on your ability to be perspicacious, to see things for what they are. Not good, not bad, just circumstances and events. I can see you for what you are despite what you claim to be, okay? That's a law of Stoicism. That's judgment. What was the other one? Was adaptability. Adaptability says, this is exactly what I was looking for, thank you. Because if you remember from last lecture, the 3-hour one that you totally watched and you totally liked and you totally subscribed because you watched it, and it just changed your life in every single category in every way, I said that a huge takeaway from that book is the obstacle is the way. What becomes an impediment becomes the way. It said the impediment precipitates action. And then the impediment, and then Ryan Holiday, he's the founder of the Daily Stoic, and he wrote that book, The Obstacle is the Way. And it's actually going to be a book in this university. I think it's a really good one. I think it's going to be a great one because that's somebody who, on this university quest, I'm actually trying to emulate. Somebody who's so well read, so knowledgeable of history, he's so practicing in what he preaches in terms of his Stoic philosophy, in terms of philosophy in general. How to live a good, wholesome, fulfilling, nature-esque, godlike, divine path, right? From what we discussed yesterday in Meditations. But I'm saying that to say, that's what adaptability is. It's viewing life in the lens that this happened for me. And so that's what I went through today at work. It was just garbage, 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 from garbage, 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 in terms of leadership, horrific leadership in my organization. And so all it does is constantly reframe, this is how I'm never gonna run my university. This is how I'm never gonna presume to be a leader because this is fucking horrific leadership. And so that is adaptability. That is seeing this as another thing that we took away from Mark Aurelius in Meditations yesterday was everything needs to happen. So what I went through today, what I've been going through at this horrific job is needed, is required, is part of my nature's design. So, but how does that tie in to win through actions, never through argument? It's the idea of saving face and having these things that I practiced today. For example, in altercations at work, it allows me to practice emotional stoicism, and I even walked out. So I had a discourse with my superior, horrific leadership, and I said, I'm not arguing with you, and I left the room. And because you don't win anything through an argument. And people, what they do is they project. They project their bullshit, and they use the heat of the moment as a fucking excuse to project on somebody who did not cut them. There's a good quote, if you don't tend to your wounds, you'll bleed on someone who didn't cut you. And people will use their consumption of alcohol or they're prone to, their anger as an excuse to project on somebody when there's no fucking excuse to do that shit ever, right? It's the same thing with argumentation. People will use their inability to tolerate stress as an excuse to dump their verbal garbage on somebody who's not at fault. And that is omnipresent in the rat life in the workplace. And I'm sure anyone watching this can corroborate with that. And I don't lack courage, and I'm not a coward. And so I speak to my superiors ways that people who are above me are too afraid to fucking speak to them, because I have no fear of losing my job by being a good man, by being someone full of honor and character and fucking actual leadership, actual tenets, right? These virtues that we exalt in this university, what it means to be a good man. You dress sharp, you show up correct, firm handshake, you do the job right, you're respected amongst all of your peers who are worthy of respect, like we discussed, treating other people in kind, right? And not going the path of winning through argumentation, understanding that you don't win anything when the other person loses face. So you make them feel insecure, you make them feel inferior, you make them feel less than, you make them feel stupid, right? You don't win anything when there's a good quote, and I said this in a prior lecture, from Harvey Specter, if you've ever seen the show Suits, amazing show. And he says, never destroy someone in public when you can achieve the same thing in private. It's that exact same mentality, that exact same sentiment. You do them no favors. And I'll even push this button. The way you get men to do violent crimes is by disrespecting them in public. And so that's where you get like school shooters. That's where you'll get these things where when you publicly disrespect someone, that's when they get really decimated. It's one thing to crush and decimate somebody in private, but people give so much of a shit what their peers think about them, that's how you really push the pain threshold of people and really defeat them. Because not only are you trying to make them look lower in their own eyes, but you're trying to make them look lower in the eyes of all of their peers, you know, whose opinions and thoughts about them hold a lot of weight for that person. So the best thing you can do in this university is what it's all predicated on is practice emotional stoicism. It's that control. It's that I'm not going to absorb your verbal fucking garbage. We said this before. I'm not going to spend $1,000 of emotion on your 5-cent irritation ass. You know what I'm saying? And I have to repeat that to myself all the time. It's just like, you are not worth me aging myself. You are not worth me having to fucking manufacture cortisol needlessly, or adrenaline, or any of this fight or flight, or any of this bullshit because of your fucking stupidity, your horrific leadership, your shitty professionalism, your lack of etiquette, your lack of ability to tolerate stress. And I'm speaking in this vacuum, but that applies, dude, I swear, to fucking everyone living the rat life. The difference is the people who have the courage to speak. And that is, because what I'm saying, everybody feels intrinsically and internally. You all feel this. You all have known and have a history of experience of superiors who are pieces of shit, who get away with bullshit that you otherwise can't say because you have fear of losing your job if you do speak the truth. And you know I'm fucking right in that sentiment. And you know that there are people who you can't criticize in the workplace. There are people who you can't say, hey, you did a really shit job with this policy, this procedure, this project. Horrific. Because everyone's a fucking coward in the courtiership of life. Because back in, we'll say, Renaissance times, back in French court, back in those days, if you were to speak against, you know, the uppers in the court, you could die. Today, you die in terms of they can fuck your career. As in, every time you apply for a new job, it says, and I don't want to say like pursuing the rat life should be your goal and aspiration, but it can really fuck you in terms of if you're trying to leverage the escape from the rat life, because every time that you apply for a new job, one of the first things that they ask you is, have you ever been dismissed? Have you ever been fired? Have you ever been let go? And when they call your references, who are they calling? Your immediate place of employment, your immediate supervisor. So it's incredible how you have to play this fucking rat life game to the end. And it's just like they have you in this sort of this chessboard where they have you kind of cornered, where you have to play the fucking courtier, you have to play the jester, you have to play the stupid fucking game until you can finally say checkmate, right? And that's gonna be the sweetest victory, is when I can go into work and fucking put in my 2 weeks, because this place is a fucking joke. Moving on. So, win through arguments. No, not win through arguments, win through your actions. Never through your argument. I want you to know I'm spearheading this crusade of escaping the rat life in terms of leveraging your position, seeing it as a means to an end. I was listening to this morning when I was doing fasted cardio. It literally brought tears to well up in my eyes, because it's interesting because your heart, who you are, your soul, it's a part of what's called the soul of the world. If you read the book Meditations, if you've read the book The Alchemist, we're all connected. It's all one. I swear to Zeus, to God, Jesus, Allah, whoever there's a great verse in the Bible, God, in terms of believing in God, as you understand him. And I love that so much because there's Olympian gods that predate Christianity, and deities that predate Christianity and Muslim faith. And so I really like that idea of God. That's why you're not going to see any religion in this university in terms of this sect or this sect. We're going to introduce the Quran. We're going to introduce the Bible, because this university is predicated on the best literature ever written of all time. But I'm saying that to say, in terms of the religious aspect, all united, all tied in, all in one, all in harmony. I literally feel like I'm a descendant of an Alexander, of a Leonidas, of a Spartacus, of a Caesar. I can feel that warrior fucking spirit in my body. And the reason that I can say that with conviction is whenever I hear an audio talking about freedom or the pursuit of freedom, or not living a life of slavery. From, for example, watching, like this morning during my cardio, a Spartacus like motivational video. I literally get goosebumps on my arms because that makes me feel so alive, to the point where it would even activate myself emotionally, trigger myself emotionally, induce a swell of emotions in terms of like my eyes literally watering up this morning, because it's just like I'm so locked in. There is no amount of fucking effort that I'm not going to do. I said I don't care what time I have to wake up. I've been up at before 3 o'clock today. I was up at 4 the day before. Like I said, I don't give a fuck what time I have to wake up. I don't care how late I have to stay to make these videos or how long it's going to take to edit them. I said I know what the fuck I have to do. I know what my timeline is. I said I'm getting this shit done regardless. There's no fucking world where I'm accepting this slavery in perpetuity. And so when I talk about adaptability, saying from Meditations from Mark Aurelius, book number 20, this is exactly what I wanted in terms of the lens of viewing the world as life happening for you, right? For you to fulfill your potential, nature's design. That is exactly how you can view your current circumstance or disposition in your rat life. It's like, what if this is the necessary rage in terms of fuel, to fuel anger and resentment and bitterness, to where all it is, imagine it's nature making you push your foot on the gas pedal of fuck you, watch this, or of enough is a non-vulgar way to put it. But imagine that. Imagine if the gas pedal is enough for you to take real action, to get real focus, to cut out all the fucking distractions. But in order to push that pedal down, you need stimulus. And what if, in terms of adaptability, life happening for you, it's the negative? Do you know what I'm saying? It's, I need to push this pain for you to say, this is what awaits me if I don't fucking do something about it, right? So I love all of that. Does that all tie in? That's a pretty good, I think, overarch. Again, your value for watching these lectures. Here we go. Win through your actions, never through argument. I think we dust off the cobwebs. I think we're ready to begin this lecture. Law number 9 of the 48 Laws of Power. Right after book number 20, Meditations by Mark Aurelius, Ratliff University. Here we go. Any momentary triumph that you think you have gained, the resentment and ill will you stir up, is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion, just like we discussed. And I put dating, I put saving face, I put sales, I put coworkers, superiors, and how to win friends and influence people. So this is an exact sentiment from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the idea of allowing people to what? Save face. But I put dating in there as well. Guys fuck this up all the time with women, where, again, a need to be right. What that does is it makes you look so small. It really does. If you feel the need to boast, if you feel the need to flex needlessly, or to win an argument with a chick, all that does is make you seem so small and so insecure and so less than, and not a man that another woman can follow, can submit to, can see, lead. You understand? So don't make that fucking mistake in dating. People make that mistake in sales. So it's like, if you know your product is this, and it's in the best interest of your customer, and they're giving you their rhyme or reason or their objection, the insecure person that is really in need of this sale is like, no, you're wrong because of this. Even if you're right, even if all of the formulation, or for example, like how I need pre-workout, is in their best interest, the best thing that they could take, what they're taking is garbage, you arguing with them, they've gone through the tipping point where now you're combating ego and pride. So even if they know you're right, they are standing by their no, because at this point they don't even want to fucking do business with you, right? So even if you win the argument, you lose the customer. And it comes from a state of lack, because if you understand that, the best mindset switch that I had when it came to sales was to not view relationships any longer as transactionally. So I see this person, it's like, I don't give a shit if I get a sale from them. They could be a sale, they could be a referral, they could be a testimonial, they could be somebody who refers a future dating partner interested, you know what I'm saying? Like, or an opportunity outside of your business in terms of your personal life, in terms of helping your friends or family. They could be a future fucking dentist for your team. I don't know. But the whole point is to not view it as lack, as in you're only good to me so long as you can provide me money. And I used to view that in dating as well, as in it all conditional. Conditional transactional. I only like you if you're going to reciprocate romantically to me in my interest in my pursuit. No, then you're worthless, right? How many do you know who do that? Okay, I'm only gonna like you so long as you give me your sale. In terms of not the sale of a boat. I don't think he thought that, but the sale from the customer. It's that exact same thing. And it comes to that quote that if they don't give you inspiration, income, or orgasms, they don't belong in your life. And there's a lot of, as crude of a statement as that is, there's a lot of credibility to that statement. There's a lot of weight in that. And I understand they have to add something, but not being specific on what they need to add, because they do need to add to your life if they should be a part of it in any way. Because you don't want people who are detracting. You don't want a give and take relationship, as in all they're doing is taking and all you're doing is giving. But to live in a state of abundance is to understand that by you giving, it'll come back to you. So I don't give a shit if it comes back to me through this person. I know that it's gonna come back by natural law. As you sow, so shall you reap. And it's not so shall you reap what you sow in 1-to-1. It's do you get 10 times what you give. So all you have to do is focus on being a good giver. Does that make sense? Okay. But people make that mistake in terms of argumentation and needing to be right in dating. They do it in sales. And they do it with their coworkers. And you lose every single time. Every single time. You're not going to get laid. You're not going to get the customer. You're not going to get the referral. You're not going to get the promotion if you feel the need to be right. And there's a really good quote from a book. It might be See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, I'm not sure. But he said, I think it's See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. He says, you can have everything you want so long as you're willing to not take credit. So it ties in similarly, as in, as long as you're okay with winning by having them enjoy the moment, feel the victory, not allowing them to save face, not feel the need to crush them. There's people where I don't correct, where it's just like, I always ask myself, to what end? If this person made a mistake here, if they did a typo in an email, you don't need to point that shit out because it's fucking needless, and all it does is highlight how small you are, right? But another great tip is that you can make the big problems or whatever seem small. How? Why? It allows them to save face. It's all tying into that. So if you see a mistake, it's calling it out indirectly, or if you want to harness, it's another thing that we go into, I think, in my notes. Dale Carnegie goes over this, making a big mistake seem very small from the lens, the juxtaposition of a time where you made maybe a similar mistake and even a bigger mistake. And so you'll say, this person made this mistake and you know it, but you want to call it out indirectly. You can just go up to them and be like, oh, dude, this one time I did this, and it was so embarrassing, it was so humiliating. But do you know what I learned? That if you do it this way, it does it this, and that they're in a place to receive because they're more receptive to the lesson because it's not about them. So instead of a direct assault where they have to be defensive, now it's not about them, so they can listen, ponder, consider, reflect, absorb, apply, right? Because they're in a place to receive. And I would do that all the time when I would heal people, particularly with women, when they would invite their insecurities, their fears, their limiting beliefs, all of their garbage, right? When they would put their walls down, and I would present to them, this is what you're doing, these are your actions, this is why you're experiencing these conditions, these circumstances, this reality. It's because of what you're tolerating. If it was abuse, it's because of your behavior, it's because of your projection, of your limiting beliefs, your insecurities, your fears on others. You're bleeding on people who didn't cut you because you're not tending to your own wounds. And when I would do that, when they understood and felt safe, and they knew that I had nothing to gain from helping them or from offering them these words and considerations, then they were in a place to receive. But the narrative of the victim is, I need to defend. My little sister's a great example of this. If you try to give her constructive criticism, because she doesn't have that level of, call it thick skin, you can call it development, she feels like she's just constantly being attacked. As in, you guys are just against me. You're just against me. It's like, no. We all want to see you win. We all want to see you grow. We all want to see you better. But this is the reason that this is not happening in your favor or what have you. You can apply that to so many things, but I think you understand the point, is when you're trying to bridge the gap with a victim, you can't, because they're not in a place to receive. So they're going to just think that they're being attacked. The best thing you can do is try your best, and this is actually a law that we're going to go over in law number 10, where it's avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. you cannot save people who don't want to help themselves. So you'll exhaust yourself trying. And so you can't do that. And it ties in with winning through your actions, never through your arguments, because I always, my default software I always ask myself is to what end? To what end? To what end? Is me correcting you in fucking public gonna achieve me a victory? No, then I'm not gonna do it. And I'll often correct other people's mistakes, say it's through work, and not feel the need to tell them, or unless I'm gonna crack a joke that I know will strengthen the relationship. Like, if you have that awareness, then there are places where you can push and pull. But if you don't, then you can just be a good person, because you can allow them to save face. You can allow the argument to not continue, to not take place in the fucking first place. And the indirection is the key. The indirection. Having a person, particularly people who don't, they don't take constructive criticism well, right? Because they veer on the side of a victim, and that's their go-to, their default. I'll give you a good example. I had a coworker today. I had to do a report where there were some missing names. I didn't say, why are these names missing? I said, hey, do you know who attended this? Because I need to put in these things. That was my question, right? The first thing she said was, oh, the reason that they were on here, it wasn't, and then she named somebody else. And then I just ignored that. I said, it's no problem. And then we continued to get the fucking job done. When you look at that snapshot, who was I talking to? I was talking to a victim who their default software was forfeiting accountability. I didn't give a shit who did it, why it wasn't there. I'm here to remedy the situation and to move forward. But the problem is with people who are so victim-minded, they don't understand that if you don't identify the problem, I don't give a shit who did this, or we need to know how it happened. We need to know why it happened so that it doesn't happen again. So it doesn't fucking matter who did it. That's fine. Don't worry. Relax. This isn't a fucking witch hunt. But if we don't identify the problem, how can we iterate? How can we move forward, right? That's what victim motherfuckers don't understand. I would do that all the time when I would do iteration in the video game that I played. I played World of Warcraft. I was one of the #1 warlocks in the entire world, and Resto Druid, and Discipline Priest. I also played Holy Priest and Inflation Warlock sometimes. But I would always ask my teammates after a loss, why did we lose? And the #1 thing that I fucking hated is when they would say, this composition, so a group of people that make up a team, they just outplay us by, that's just how the game is. It is the way it is. There's nothing we can do, because this composition, this team makeup is supposed to beat our team makeup. That's just how it is in this game. And I refused to accept that. I said, shut the fuck up. Why? Because if you forfeit the conversation, you don't even make the effort to try. And that is what I would not tolerate. I said, no. So there's something that we could do. There's always something that you can do to win. If you've ever seen the movie Never Back Down, there's always a position where you can win. Andrew Tate talks about it in playing chess. It's 100% ownership and accountability, because at some point you made a mistake, period. You could have made a mistake by waiting too long in between turns. Whatever it is, you were at fault somewhere, and that is why you lost. People who are prone to the victim fucking narrative, the first default software that they have is forfeiting, allocating blame to others, unto others, forfeiting all accountability and blame themselves. They're like, I didn't do it. Fuck those people. Why? If you're a good coach, you don't give a shit that they made this mistake, but you can see their potential, right? And so it's like, listen, stop fucking up here, because you know you could win this. You know we could win here. You know you're better than this. You know this is your ability. This is your potential. Do you know the beauty of that? If you breathe into someone's potential here and hold them to that standard, they'll work harder to not let you down. It's that exact same idea and mentality. So I hope I said that. Moving on. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. And I put how to win friends and influence people strategy, food for thought, reflection from personal failure, lesson story. And we went over that. So I would do that all the time. If a person makes a fucking mistake, the way that you make it so much smaller is by lens, by perspective. So if this is their mistake, do you know what this is? It looks so big. Yeah, but then it becomes this size when you zoom out and I show you a problem that was this big. I couldn't put both on frame, so that's why I had to do that. That's exactly how you can allow somebody to save face, to not be in a state of fight or flight, but they can be in a place to receive. It's indirect. You have to understand that. If I'm gonna assault you, you have to do this. But if I'm talking about something that's over here, you wouldn't have your hands up. And so you can see something that's over here, that's weird. It's the exact same fuck up that I'm doing, but this is about Sally, this isn't about Tarek. And so now I'm more in a receptive stance, right? Not a defensive stance, a receiving stance. I don't have my hands like this, I have my hands like this, right? So I'm in a position to receive. Or they're a dickhead and you won't be able to get through them anyway, and then you're just wasting your time and energy. And then they can go fuck themselves. And then why would you want to argue anyway? Because you would just be raising your own cortisol and your own blood pressure and be aging yourself and lowering your white blood cell and be prone to sickness. It's like, I'm gonna give myself sickness for this dumbass, right? For their fucking stupidity, I'm gonna raise my cortisol? I don't think so. No, not in my one life. Fuck you and your stupidity. I'm not wasting 1,000 energies of mine on your 5-cent dumb ass. Okay. Demonstrate, do not explicate. Explicate's a big word, but I think that means just argumentation, discord, just talking. You don't need to explain, and you don't need to explicate. Because you said demonstrate, do not explicate, so explicate has to mean verbose, talking, not the action of demonstrating. I like the quote, that's why I wrote it down. Next. Learn to demonstrate the correctness of your ideas indirectly. It is such a huge tip. It is such a huge tip. It's a great tip in leadership, in managing other people, in leading a team, is being the example and allowing people, I can't reiterate this enough because I see so many dumbasses in the place that I work fuck this up all the time. Allow your team to save face, period. What does saving face mean? You don't crush somebody's soul, period, let alone in public. But what the shitty leaders do is it's all because of an inability to tolerate stress. That's what it all comes down to. And a lack of fucking professionalism. And I'm gonna be honest, it's typically from women. Because in my experience, you can call me the misogynistic, you can call me the sexist, but I have a vast greater experience of men leaving their fucking emotions at home and being professionals than women who can't handle stress in the same fashion. And so they are so much more prone to emotional projection, and it's bullshit. And I see it all the fucking time in the workplace. And it's just like, versus there's people like my mom, right, who never in my entire childhood, whether she was, on cycle or whatever, or having a rough time with, my piece of shit dad, whatever the case, never fucking projected once onto her kids. Despite how she felt, never dumped that garbage on someone who was not at fault, who was an innocent fucking bystander. People like my mother aren't omnipresent in the fucking workplace. What you have are shitty women, and I'll bring it to guys too, I'm not just ostracizing women, but I'm saying a lot of shitty women who have no emotional stoicism and control. And it's so present, and people may not want to talk about it, but it's a fact, because women are more emotional than men. But a lot of women are unprofessional and use how they feel on any given day, what's going on in their fucking personal life, to dump, especially if they're in a leadership position and they're a shitty leader. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not women who are fucking remarkable, killers, incredible leaders, class acts. There are abundant numbers of those. I'm saying from my experience in the world that I live in, particularly in education, it's filled with these people who have no fucking ability to tolerate stress. It's bullshit. Versus there are people who are class acts. I can name several who are literally god angels, who I've had personal conversations with, I've gone out to lunch with, they're great mentors, they've written me letters of recommendation. I'm not talking about those people who actually have class, who actually have stoicism and emotional control, and are actually the epitome of fucking leaders. I'm talking about these children, these girls, children. Now let's talk about the men, because they're not excluded. I find that the men veer more on the side of the alpha or the cuck. In my experience, you'll find one of the two. As in, you'll find the guy that bends the heel, bends the knee, bows the head, scrapes, and then schemes behind the scenes. Or the one who will talk big, but then amidst his superiors, then they sort of cower. And so I don't have any respect for any of that garbage. I have more respect for the people on the lowest ring of the ladder because they treat you with fucking respect and courtesy and kindness. And they're usually the people who are overseen, who a lot of people don't even fucking acknowledge them. They're like a prop that doesn't exist to these people who are so fucking inflated by their smug, fake, dumbass titles. And I see it all the time. You're just surrounded by these fucking clowns who literally, I could give you a verbatim quote from a Freudian slip from my current superior that they needed to hire an administrative assistant. And she said, we could just buy one. I mean, we could hire one. And it's like, that's literally how they view you, as someone who, that's a slave. We could just buy you to get you on the payroll to do this fucking job. You're literally a fucking slave to these peasants that call themselves your fucking superiors and leaders. That's what you're gonna find in the workplace, right? But those guys who are the custodial staff, who do maintenance and operations, who are here on the socioeconomic ladder, dude, they look at you in the eyes, present, firm fucking handshake, show up correct, honest, they don't lie to you, they don't talk shit behind your back, they're good quality class acts of men. And I love that shit so much. And not viewing themselves as better than anyone else. And I love that I'm in a lens to where I used to do when I was an undergrad at UCLA, I would do busing, I would fucking clean grease traps, I would degrease grills, because I would work in concessions and sell fucking hot dogs and pretzels, and take out the trash and do the busing, clean down the tables. I would do all of that. And so I'll do that today if, like, say I go on a walk at work, they're taking out the trash, I'll go join them in conversation and take out the trash with them. Because just like, no, I used to do this. You know, I used to be one of you guys doing this. I understand you do all of the work. You literally just do fucking labor the entire day, and you get the least amount of recognition from anyone. You're the most under fucking valued people here, who are literally the backbone of this fucking organization, right? So the clowns that call themselves your superiors in the courtiership of your life, they're the exact same. They're the exact fucking same. So they're just inflated, smug, ego, and their delusion is here. And they literally don't even view you as a fucking person. They view you as somebody who they can just buy. It's fucking hilarious to listen to. And what they're not used to is someone who, like me, who isn't at their title, but who has an ability to articulate with the absence of fear. I'm a fucking anomaly to these people because I'm not a coward. I'll call them out on their bullshit. I'll have the hard conversations. And if they're gonna try to do their bullshit, I'll confront it or just make my exit. And the beauty about when you do that is you make it fucking clear that you are only my superior by fucking bullshit title and nothing else. So ties into what? Demonstrate, do not explicate, but also what you're combating, which is the next line. You're combating pride, ego, and insecurity, particularly of your superiors. And that's why a great advantage, and this is probably one of the best laws of power, I don't know if it's in it later on, I'm sure it is you have to play the fool to fool the fool. You really do. I dumb myself so much with certain people to navigate to get exactly what I wanted out of the interaction, whether it was I needed this paperwork or I needed this done. And so I'll literally play the fool. I'll reduce my intellect super down. I'll be aloof. My mistake. I must have missed it. Well, I don't know. And you can literally get exactly what you want by making those people, oh, he just doesn't know any better. Oh, don't worry about him. And that it's actually a superpower play. So that's an aside. And it's not tied into this law, so we're gonna keep going. Next. So to reiterate, learn to demonstrate the correctness of your ideas indirectly, because it allows them to save face. You're a class act, you're an actual leader, so you're not gonna do their garbage and their schemes. You're not gonna allow people to get fucking decimated in public. You're not gonna project your emotional garbage on them. And then, I think I finished the thought in terms of the alpha men and the cuck men. That's what you see in the workplace, in plethora. You see the most class acts of men here. And you see the biggest weasels, the higher that you go. Just because they're all cowards. And because, think of it, I'm gonna be compassionate, ready? Those guys who are 20, 30 years my senior, it's very easy for me to say they're cucks, right? But the reality is they've positioned themselves to where they're so reliant on their paycheck because now they have a wife, now they have kids, now they have a mortgage, now they have the sending their kid to college, paying the student loans, and they have 2 cars that they, that are not paid outright. And so they have all of these bills, right? They're stuck. They're a reliant rat on the very system that's enslaving them. So they have to bend the knee out of fear of losing their fucking job. And I saw that. I've seen that in my workplace. And let me tell you what happens, man. I felt so bad. There's a guy who not barely speaks English. English isn't his first language, right? And I don't know if it's Vietnamese. I think it might be Vietnamese is his primary language, but he's such a killer. He's nothing but positive. He's so wholesome. He's so fucking loving. And because he has such a shitty leader who crushes the fuck out of his soul by his fucking dumb ass, you see the spirit of somebody get fucking crushed to the point where it brought that guy to fucking tears. Imagine a wholesome guy, Asian guy, super wholesome, super nice, a fucking sweetheart, right? Brought to tears out of the injustice and the harassment and the bullshit and the treachery of the snake weasel that's his superior. To the point where, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Gosh, I was on a roll. He can't exit because he has a kid. And when I saw that, and I saw it again, and I saw it again, and I saw it in a different case where you just see the fucking defeat in the guy's eyes, but another person who had a newborn, and it's like, they have to be here. No, they have to provide for their wife. They have to provide for the baby. And both of them are in a place where they can't say, go fuck yourself and leave. Whereas like, I can go to 0 at any time. Like, I can literally go and live in my fucking car and exit this whole thing if my job were to be threatened. Like, I can go to fucking 0 knowing that I'm gonna be fine, right? And knowing that a non-negotiable for me is my character, my integrity, period, with fucking anyone who considers themselves my superior on a piece of fucking paper in an office. That doesn't mean shit. With made up fucking titles in this video game of life, right? But the guys who, that's why I say it's easier said than done, or it's easier said for me, it's very easy for me to say, these people are cucks, these people are pussies and cowards, when it's just how they've poorly positioned themselves financially. Because they've gotten themselves into a position where at this rung of the ladder, their reliance on the breadcrumbs allotted to them by their superiors. And it's such a fucked position to be in, because then you have to put up with their bullshit, and you have to bend the knee, and you have to cower, and you have to say things that are so inconsistent with your heart, that make your soul feel like on fire. Like, because you have to wear such a layer and a layer and a layer of all these masks. And so you feel like such a fucking hypocrite for tolerating that bullshit and for not speaking your truth when you know it's bullshit, but you know you can't say anything because you fear losing your fucking job. So when I saw those things, I said, there's no fucking world where I'm ever going to put myself in that position to where I can't walk out, period. There's a good quote from, I think it's Robert De Niro in a movie. He said, never get attached to something in your life that you can't walk out of in 30 seconds flat. And I know that's an exaggeration. He was talking about, not just materialistic things, but also relationships. But I tie that into the workplace, as in to put yourself in a position to where, no, I'm not reliant on this single source of income for me to feel like a man, for me to feel like I can look at myself in the mirror with pride, with honor, with self-respect, because I have to tolerate this bullshit and therefore hypocrisy to my fucking soul. Do you know what I'm saying? That is a shitty existence. And there's a good quote by Joe Rogan, most men lead quiet lives of desperation. That's why. That's why. Because they have all these bills and they're so entrapped in the fucking rat life that they have to tolerate this bullshit, and it happens every fucking day. So what are we doing in this university? We're positioning ourselves so we never have to submit to this bullshit in our life, in our one that we have to live, right? I'm gonna pursue whatever the fuck it takes. If I have to get up at 2 a.m. and stay up to make these videos and then to do the edits and then to do the notes, I don't care. I don't give a fuck what work it takes to see this quest to fruition, because I know what the alternative is, and it's freedom forever guaranteed. So, went through your actions, never through your argument. Next. My experience, the truth is generally seen, rarely heard. I thought that was a great quote, and I think it was by Greene. it was like Bartus or Barlus or Barius Gratian. He had a really cool name from like the 1600s. The truth is generally seen, rarely heard. So it's seldom heard, but it's seen. Another good quote is, you can't teach a man anything. You can only help him discover something for himself. It's that exact same sentiment. As in, people with their egos, with their conditioned lens that they view the world, you could be in the right, and they literally could just have their blinders on where they're looking at it, but they can't see it for themselves, or they can't hear it. So imagine that, right? Imagine a person is deaf, but not blind. Ah, that's a good one. So they can't hear what you're saying, but you can show them the truth to make them learn it for themselves. Not what you told them, but the truth is generally seen, rarely heard. The truth, you can't teach a man anything, you can only help him discover something for himself. That exact idea. Okay. My experiencing coaching female clients, you're gonna just get the whole sexist talk today, diet or the weight used on certain exercises. It's all ego, okay? And I would get this with my female clients the most because guys don't have this problem. Guys eat like shit in their diet. So I would never have this issue with guys when I'm trying to correct them and put them in a caloric deficit and get them ready for their transformation. Women, the vast majority of them, are conditioned to undereat. So for me to correct the mistakes and what they've done to their body, I have to have them eat this many calories because I need to give them a ceiling. It's still a caloric deficit, but it's 1,000 more than they were used to consuming, okay? To correct the stupidity of what they've been doing from the horrific lack thereof education that they had and that they grew up with. It's like, no, if I eat 100, 500, not exaggeration, 500 to 1,000 calories, then I'll get to my dream weight. It's like, that's weird. I'm still 100 pounds overweight, yet I'm in a 2,000 calorie deficit. And I explained to them something I learned is brilliant. And that's why I say this is a female problem in plethora, very rarely a man, because guys eat like shit all the time. It's women who starve themselves. When you don't have access to food by these vast caloric deficits, the brilliance of your body, the Darwinism of it, the evolution of it, it thinks it's dying. It thinks you no longer has access to food. So in the effort to save your own life, the brilliance of your body, who's way smarter than you are, millions of years of DNA to make your dumbass. I'm mean today in this video. I don't mean to be. It's a problem that I would always have to correct from ignorance and from lack of education. Where I would get frustrated is when this would happen. When they would do the stupid thing that has been yielding them the results that they have, and I'm inviting them to do something else, and they'll say, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this thing. And that's the frustration and the infuriation of me trying to save them. It's just like, if the actions that you have been doing has gotten your dumbass the results that you now have, why the fuck would doing something different not be to your benefit? How is doing the same thing expecting a different result anything other than the definition of fucking insanity? You dumbass, wasting my fucking time. That's why I don't help people for free. That's why you have to pay me. Because otherwise, I don't give a shit if you implore the help that I'm giving you. If you're gonna do your dumbass antics, that's fine, because I'm still getting paid. But when I try to help people for free, this is why you have to charge people for life coaching or for fitness, because they'll do this stupid shit and they don't check their ego and they don't check their pride. Because just like, I always have to say this, let's pretend I know more than you. Let's pretend like I've been doing this for 11 years, not the 3 months that your dumbass has. Mean today. Mean is my lack of sleep. I apologize. I don't apologize. Here we go. Your body is so smart, it thinks it's dying, thinks it no longer has access to food. So what it'll do is, in the effort to save your own life, it'll slow down its own metabolism and it'll hold on to any stored body fat that you have. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Doesn't aesthetically please you, but it preserves your fucking life. The reason, and so that's why you'll have all this body fat, and that's why you'll plateau despite the super low calories. So to correct that, what you have to do is you have to give them a high calorie ceiling, because you taper the calories down over time. But if you start here, you have nowhere to go. So you need to make your calories way up here to correct your digestion. Your stomach, the organ, literally shrinks. So we have to correct that. We have to get you used to eating a 500 calorie deficit, but to them that's force feeding them. and they feel like, I'm a horrible coach in this. It's like, no. Let's cut your fucking dumbass ego. It's like Mithrandir from Gandalf, Lord of the Rings. Bilbo Baggins, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you, right? And that way you have room to taper down over time. And the way that you don't plateau is not only do you drop your calories, but then you can increase your activity, often in the form of cardio, if they're already doing their weight training program. So that's my experience with coaching female clients in terms of their diet. Weight in the gym, that'd be another thing. So not their body weight, but the weight of machines. A lot of women are afraid to train heavy. So I would have that frustration all the time where they'll go on something like the abduction machine. So the glute one where you push out, and I can see the size of their legs, and they'll try to do the one on the least ring. It's like, you can go heavier. And they'll fight me and fight me and fight me. And then I have to literally prove this quote. The truth is generally seen, rarely heard. I'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna have your dumbass do a set, and then I'll watch them do it. And then after they bitch and moan and kick and scream, they look to me and be like, this was really light. And I'm just like, you fucking dumbass tool. And I'll have to do that with females all the time on heavier machines. So they always pussy out, especially if they're new. And it's not just when they're new. It's the ones who have super high egos, the ones who are arrogant, the ones who are super insecure, and the ones who don't want to actually do work. And so you have to combat all that. And that's actually the biggest reason why I exited personal training, is because I was so sick of helping people more than they wanted to help themselves, people who thought they could pay to get out of the work. I said, I would rather train someone for free who's a killer, who's in it to win it, who wants it more badly for themselves than I want it for them, than you're wasting my fucking time. And that's why I hated helping people in the fitness industry, even if they were paying me. Because I said this on a walk the other day, when I was doing my walk with God, I said, I genuinely love helping people who want to help themselves. I'm happy to do it for free. I really, really am. That makes me feel, fuck what they get. I feel awesome. I feel so happy when somebody comes to me and because I love courage. That's what I love the most. As in, it takes courage to come to me with your walls down, with asking for help, with understanding that I'm not trying to attack you, because you have to put yourself into a vulnerable state, because you're used to people who offer nothing but criticism and condemnation and judgment. But then you come to me, it's like, oh, Tarek only wants what's in your best interest. Tarek just wants to help you. Tarek's not here to attack you, to judge you. He doesn't give a shit what happened or these vices or these neglects or whatever. This is your problem. He knows the solution. Let me help you. And I love to see courage. I love to see people enact courage by coming with their walls down, receptive, willing to learn, willing to grow. I love humility. I'm happy to help those fucking people for nothing. I will give them hours of my fucking day, weeks. I'll get 24 access to me. Here's my phone number. Call me any fucking time. Call me at 3 a.m. I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to, oh, you're lacking accountability? And I'll see the tears in their eyes, like they want to transform physically so bad. Dude, I'll wake up at fucking 3 a.m. I'll set my alarm clock. I'm happy to drive to the gym to train with you. I love helping and being a part of fucking heroes. I love it so much. That makes me happy. And so that's why when you see my anger, I have such a disdain for the victim. And so every person that I'm describing, not just female, it's in plethora for female just because of insecurity and ignorance when it comes to diet, oftentimes in transformations. Guys, they don't care. So guys, it's an easier mental gap to bridge. They're not coming to you with fear, worry, or concern at your ego. They're just like, bro, you're jacked. Can you help me? Or they don't tell me that, but you understand the idea. Guys will eat like shit. I've never coached a guy where a problem was they were consuming 500 calories a day. It's never been a thing. It's because of shitty education that they pump out. And this is the whole idea of the university, is standing guard at the doorway of your mind. Understanding that what bridges the gap for women in fitness, and this will be the end of this tangent, because it all ties in, it really does. Because it ties in with the truth is generally seen, it's rarely heard, is when women understand that you look your best by eating more and training heavier. And so when that seed is finally able to be planted, and you'll see them give themselves permission to eat and to train hard and heavy, and to see them transform and then love themselves even more as a result, that's a beautiful fucking metamorphosis. And I love that so much. And I love dealing with them, because what does that take, dude? The courage to pursue. And so I love that. And I hate victims. So if you saw me, here's the sexist Tark, here's the belittling Tark, here's the angry. No. It's, I love heroes and I fucking despise victims. I don't give a shit if it's in the gym setting. It's gender non-specific. I fucking hate victims. I don't have an ounce of fucking sympathy for them. Feel sorry for yourself and spin your woe is me story to somebody else. Go fuck yourself. But, excuse me, the truth is generally seen is never heard. Rarely heard. So that's my experience coaching clients, diet, the weight on exercises. It's fear. It's fear and insecurity. They could go heavier, they don't want to. Period. Wasting my fucking time. Coward. Too much of a pussy to go into an arena. You know why I hate it the most in the gym? Is because you can control all the variables in there. You can control, it's the safest place to fail. Nothing's gonna happen to you. You literally in a squat rack that has a safety fucking bar, and they're too much of a coward to put the weight on their back and try. That is what I have the greatest disdain for, because even if you're paying me, you're wasting my fucking time. So that's, we'll call it on that one, but that's the whole idea is people, well, they don't learn unless they have to fucking fail themselves. And so this is the whole idea. The truth is generally seen or felt. It's rarely heard. As in, you have to, and he talks about this when there was a guy in Stalin's cabinet and they said, a guy in a crowd, he was giving a speech. And he said, you were in Stalin's group, his intimate circle. Why didn't you stop him? And then he said, who said that? And the entire crowd went silent. And then he said, you know why I didn't. And so in the book, Robert Greene describes, he made them feel what it was like to be in the presence of Stalin, and by being in that audience and feeling the terror of speaking up, saying, I said that, I said, you know, so as if Stalin was there. And so he's like, that's why. So I hope that makes sense. I don't want to butcher it. So the guy said, I'm going to reiterate it so we both learn more. Guy's giving a speech who's been in the cabinet of Stalin, his inner circle, Stalin of Russia. And he said, a guy in the crowd said, you were there, why did you not stop him? And then he turned to the crowd and said, who said that? Dead silence. He made the people feel the terror as if Stalin was there and you had the opportunity to speak up. That was the part that I omitted in the explanation. But it's that whole idea that people only learn the hard way or the hardest way. And so I've had to learn this learning curve with sales, with dating, in terms of helping coach women out of abusive relationships, out of manipulative relationships, out of sexually abusive or physically abusive. They have to learn the fucking lesson the hard way when you try to give them the gift of foresight. And it's only the ones who have the courage to let go and to listen who you can actually reach. But oftentimes people, they have to learn the lesson the hard way. They have to get cheated on 100 fucking times or verbally abused for them to finally say enough. And it doesn't matter how well of a speaker you are, how much you try to, hype them up or say, give them the foresight, this is what they're doing, this is this, this is this, this is what they're gonna do next. I could give them the A to Z. This happened to a coworker and she ignored it. She was like, oh wow, that's so nice, this. Disregarded everything that I said, and then, sure enough, experienced the pain herself. And it was just like, you're wasting my fucking time. And what is it? It's arrogance, and it's ego, and it's fear. And so that's why I love the antithesis of that, which is humility and courage. So, just me personally. Next. The power of demonstrating your ideas is that your opponents do not get defensive. We talked about that. And are therefore more open to persuasion. 100% true. Making them literally and physically feel your meaning, just like the Stalin example, is infinitely more powerful than argument. It really is. Why? Because people learn the hard way. It needs to be felt. It needs to be visceral. It needs to be real. It needs to not just be words. Despite you coming from a place of authority or experience, they have to fucking fail the hard way. They got to touch the stove to know it's hot. So the best thing you can do is not take it personally when they don't listen to you. Because how many of you guys have given, someone that you love relationship advice or, physical advice or financial advice and they don't listen, even though you have the thing that they want. You have their financial goal, you have their physical goal, you have their relational goal, and they're just like, no, I'm just going to ignore you and do what I was going to do anyway. You just have to let them fail. So it ran out. Here we go. So don't worry about it. Don't take it personally. But you don't have to ostracize them or cast them out. Just understand that people have to learn the hard way. And so I think that'll be the best lens for you not to take it personally. Next. The most powerful persuasion goes beyond action into symbol. I love this, that's why I wrote it down. The power of a symbol is that everyone understands you without anything being said. The perfect example is the video Ziz the Legacy. So I don't know if you guys know the story, but I told you that the reason that I started my fitness transformation June 25th of 2013, changed my life forever, was watching Ziz the Legacy. It was a video by a 22-year-old bodybuilder, Aziz Shaverchian. It was a tribute video made by his brother, and he had died. And it changed my entire life, and it inspired me to not live a life of regret, to not give a fuck what people think about me, to live my life, the one that I have, on my terms. It branded and cemented the sentiment that we're all gonna make it. And that's, hearing those words, that's where I got it from, was that video. From a 22-year-old who died, made it that much more heavy. When I was having my heart palpitations, I had my poster up, it's hung over here, that says we're all gonna make it. And Aziz Shaverchian died from heart palpitations. So when I read those words, when I thought I was gonna die, and even right now I can feel my heart like kind of accelerate, it made the weight of those words feel so much heavier. And I was like, in terms of we're all gonna make it, just think about what that, like make it not just, you know, oh, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be famous, I'm gonna make it on YouTube or with this university. Make it as in not die. And when I was literally thinking that I was gonna die from the severe, like I told you, the sirens went off, and took myself to the ER multiple times. Like, it was fucking scary. I never thought more, even after comparing it to my drug overdose that I had here upon moving into this apartment. I never thought, I've never been closer to thinking I was gonna die in my entire life. I thought I had minutes to live. And it's fascinating, I share this, the thoughts that you have when you think you're gonna die, which is, you just think about the people that you love and care about, the people that you wanna tell how you feel, and the people who you haven't told how you feel. And that's all you want to do, is you just want to tell everyone how you feel, and you want to see people that you really love and care about. And you want to like reach out to them, you want to see them one more time, or you want to make sure that they know that you love them. That's literally the only thing you think about when you think you're gonna die, like for real. But it was that video that changed my life forever, was that single video. And the reason that I put it here, the most powerful persuasion goes beyond action into a symbol, is because if you watch that video today as somebody who's not the person that I was back then, like I was an 18-year-old weighing 145 pounds, watching porn, playing World of Warcraft, didn't have the confidence to talk to a woman, and it was a guy who had my exact same backstory, and so who found the gym, and then it was this transformation from 18 to 22, and it was beautiful. What started as a journey to gain the confidence to talk to women turned into a desire and love and passion for improvement and betterment and growth, and living a life on your terms, and not living a life with the burden of regret or what if, not giving a fuck what anyone thinks about you. The euphoria of being happy with who you are and leading that kind of a life. And it was a symbol because if you watch it today, he'll say cunt a lot. He'll say, you know, they'll do stupid things where if you're not a young guy, if you're not a young man, if you're not a boy, if you're not a fucking teenager guy, it won't have the same effect. And so if I watched, even listen to the music from back then, the playlist alone, that's enough for me to remember him and to remember why I'm doing this and to sort of honor that sort of legacy. But the persuasion of that planted the seed of belief in me that I can make it too, because I saw exactly who I was. He literally had the same skin tone as me, reminiscent of someone who had Middle Eastern parentage. The same height, the same weight, the same age at 18 when he started. And I saw who I could become. And when he said we're all gonna make it, it made me believe that I could make it too, that I could be a fitness model one day, that I could travel the world, that I could do, you know, whatever. So it goes way beyond what he said in the video, because a lot of it was troll, a lot of it was, you know, just joking around, a lot of it was just saying stupid things that if you were to watch it as a 30-year-old or as a female, you wouldn't get it. Versus if you're an 18-year-old kid who doesn't have the confidence to talk to a woman, who's never been to the gym before, and you make that fucking kid believe that he could live a life of freedom in every category. So that comes from not words, but what he represented. And being a 22-year-old who died saying we're all gonna make it, dude, that one video alone, in terms of fulfilling nature's design, that inspired millions of people, including myself. I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for that one video, bar none. So, to finish, when aiming for power or trying to conserve it, always look for the indirect route and choose your battles. If time and their own experience will make them understand what you mean, then it is best not even to bother with a demonstration. Save your energy and walk away. It's so fucking true, dude. If a person is, and I always have to do this mental calculation to see if a person has the development and the humility to have the conversation. And if they're not in that place, I don't even bother. They're not even worth the fucking time, because you literally will feel so much aggravation and anger and frustration and bitterness and resentment because you're talking to a wall, because they're not in a position to receive. I would have this with horrifically insecure and unhealed women when they would gaslight the fuck out of me. And I was like, if I were to explain to you what they're doing, it would make no difference, because you're so underdeveloped that you're not even cognizant of your stupidity and your attempt at manipulation and your victim narrative. So I don't even bother. It's not even worth my time. And it's the quote from Marcus Aurelius. He said, you can either instruct or endure others. You can instruct people who are in position to receive, who are willing to learn. Arrogant motherfuckers, they presume themselves too good to learn. The most arrogant are the ones who think they know it all. The most wise are the people who know so much that they know, or know enough that they know they don't know shit. Those are the smartest fucking people. The ones that know, I'm so brilliant that I know a fraction of a percent of what I could learn. And those are the ones who are typically the most humble, because they understand that I have so much to learn from the world. And I always am in the pursuit of truth, and I like to find truth from anywhere. That's why we're going to be introducing the Quran in this university in end of February. That's why we're going to be introducing the Bible in April. And I'm very, very excited for those, because I want to bring the full range of the best literature ever written, because I want everyone in this university to be a made man, as in, read these books and apply these universal laws and texts and insights and tools and resources, and you could have a rich life, not just monetarily, not just financially, a rich and fulfilling life, dude, where you're fucking in the euphoric state of loving who you are. So save your energy and walk away, dude. If you feel like you're talking to a wall, it's a quote from Jordan Peterson. He said, if you feel like if you're talking to somebody who's not listening, stop talking, period. And I put epiphany phase, the walled, insecure gaslighters, and I put underneath it children. That's all it is, dude. It's children. I said life and time will humble them. And so all you literally just have to let go. Andrew Tate says it's a power move just to ignore people. It literally is, dude. Save your mental sanity. Save your energy. Stop watering dead plants. And I would do that for years, man. I would try to help people who didn't want to help themselves. I would try to save people as if I was the only one fucking paddling when I'm trying to save them. And it's just like, and they don't even have a paddle. They threw it out. And it's just like, what are you going to do? If you're in a boat, say you're in a relationship with somebody, you got a paddle, and they're not paddling, you're going in a circle. And if they're paddling in the other direction because they're just fighting, then you go nowhere. You see? It's the exact same thing with platonic, romantic, business, any kind of relationship. So if you feel like you're just saving somebody, if you feel like you're just talking to a wall, stop. Because this is what happens. This is the casualty. The casualty is you won't even find gratitude in the very people who are hyping you up, who are giving you praise, who are inviting radiance and sunshine and nourishment into your garden of your life. I would have that all the time. I would be wasting and expending so much energy and mental energy on these fucking people who would make me feel so bitter, angry, and resentment that I couldn't even harbor gratitude for these people that invited nothing but love, kindness, encouragement, and support. And I said, how unfair to you that I'm wasting away over here, that I can't even feel grateful for the gift of a relationship that you're offering me. So that's the casualty. They're the casualty of your continuing to tolerate that action with these fucking people. I was gonna say idiots, but arrogant, ego-ridden, narcissistic, insecure, fear-based, unhealed. People who are too much of a coward to tend to their wounds, constantly bleeding on people who didn't cut them. Give and take, as in all you do is take and all you're doing is giving. Victims. Here's my story. I want to elicit sympathy and get the dopamine from you. Please feel sorry for me. Best thing you can do is tell them to go fuck themselves. If you don't want to do that, the best thing you can do is literally ignore them. To keep them at a distance. To what? Endure them, because you cannot instruct them. Okay. I know I said to finish, but I have 2 more lines. You waste your energy pouring, pleading, convincing, attempting to, someone who isn't ready, not capable to receive. Let them go. You gotta let them go. And if you don't, it's to your own peril. It really is. This is the last line. Don't talk in here. This is a quote from Greg Plitt. I don't need to read it because I got it memorized. There's a video from Greg Plitt and he says, don't talk in here, perform in here, in the gym. When you perform in here, when you go outside, you don't need to talk, do you? And it's the whole premise of the law in terms of not winning by argumentation. You don't need to fucking say a word. Let your actions speak for you. You don't need to say a word to somebody who's not in a position to receive. Let them fail. Let them feel the mistake. Let them learn the lesson the hard way without you saying a fucking word. Let actions do all the talking. So, that is law number 9 of this noble quest of university. Win through your actions, never through argument. I'm gonna be filming law number 10 on today's Wednesday, so I think I'll film it on Friday. I'm gonna take tomorrow off work, but I'm gonna be applying to different jobs. I'm going to be doing university cleanup. There's 2 positions at UCLA that are hybrid, as in remote, for a lot of the week. If not, one of them has potential maybe to be entirely remote. A 6-figure job working from home. Oh my God, put that out there. Let's Matthew 16:18 this. So that's from the Bible. That, and here I say to you again, that if any 2 of you shall agree on something in this life, by my Lord in heaven, he'll see it come to pass. So put it out there. Professor Tarek House gets one of the job vacancies at UCLA. And let's Matthew 16:18 this together. So I really do appreciate that. I'm not saying that with any sort of jest, because that'd be amazing. Because it's honestly wasting so much of my time and energy, constantly looking for the next level, while I'm also doing the university, while I'm also working my job, while I'm also focusing on my fitness and taking care of myself, and making sure that I become the man I want to become. That I make sure my cup is filled, so that I have that much more to give others. So, to be able to eliminate the financial burden and stress of, debt, of creating that margin, of, everything that's pulling my effort and focus away from the amount that I could be putting into this university, I would love to eliminate it. So put it out there. We're all gonna make it. If it doesn't work out with here, we're gonna try again. Because we're indefatigable. Because what is rat life? Anyone can escape. Anyone. It starts with belief. I'm worthy, I deserve it, I believe it's possible that I can make it too, and the courage to pursue. What that means is the courage to try again, to not give up, to endure, right? Over time, until. All right. This is law number 9. We're all gonna make it. This is Rat Life University. See you guys next time.